While modern Americans rely on boxed mixes and instant cornbread, Amish families have preserved the authentic 1800s methods. Their cornbread isn't just food, it's a tradition passed down through generations, connecting them to their ancestors through simple ingredients and time-honored techniques. The cornmeal difference? For the Amish, cornbread starts long before the kitchen. Many still grow heirloom corn varieties their ancestors cultivated, harvesting by hand. Unlike store-bought cornmeal that's processed and stripped of nutrients, Amish families often stone grind their corn, preserving the germ and creating that signature coarse texture that makes authentic cornbread so distinctive. Sourcing with intention, Amish cornbread ingredients aren't just grabbed from store shelves. Each component has a story: eggs from free-range chickens pecking in the yard, milk still warm from morning milking, honey from community-kept hives. This connection to ingredients isn't trendy farm-to-table marketing. It's simply their way of life. When supplies run low, neighbors share what they have, strengthening community bonds. RI Madi, and even during lean years, creative substitutions ensure cornbread remains a staple on Amish tables. The cast iron commitment. At the heart of authentic Amish cornbread is the cast iron skillet, often a family heirloom passed down through generations. These seasoned pans carry memories of countless meals, each cooking session adding another layer of flavor and history. I once tried making cornbread in a modern non-stick pan, thinking it wouldn't make much difference. The results? A pale imitation lacking that perfect crust. Cast iron creates that signature golden exterior that gives way to a tender interior, a texture impossible to achieve any other way. Amish families treat these skillets with reverence, carefully seasoning and storing them. Some pans in use today have served 5 generations or more. When a young Amish woman marries, a properly seasoned cast iron skillet is often among her most treasured gifts. Mixing by hand. No electric mixers were in Amish kitchens. Instead, cornbread begins with a simple wooden spoon and bowl, ingredients combined in a specific order passed down through oral tradition. The mixing process might look straightforward to outsiders, but there's an art to it that takes years to master. Dry ingredients first: cornmeal, a little flour, perhaps some sugar, depending on the family recipe. Some add a pinch of baking soda, others don't. These measurements aren't from cookbooks, but from muscle memory. A pinch, a handful, a scoop that looks about right. Then comes the wet ingredient well, creating a crater in the dry mixture before adding buttermilk, eggs, and a little fat. The technique for combining them is gentle but thorough, creating a batter that's just right, not too runny, not too thick. Watching an Amish woman mix cornbread batter is like witnessing a dance. Her movements are efficient, rhythmic, almost meditative. There's no rushing this step. The batter needs time to breathe, to come together properly. I once asked an Amish baker if using a mixer would save time. She smiled knowingly and said, "Perhaps. But then, when would I have time to think and pray over the food I'm preparing for my family?" The lard legacy. While modern recipes call for vegetable oil or butter, traditional Amish cornbread relies on lard, rendered pork fat, that creates unmatched flavor and texture. Many Amish families still render their own lard each year after fall butchering, carefully controlling the temperature to produce fat that's clean, white, and surprisingly neutral in flavor. Before mixing the batter, a generous spoonful of lard goes into the cast iron skillet, which is then heated until it's nearly smoking. This creates that signature crispy bottom crust that shatters slightly when cut, a texture impossible to achieve with other fats. The first time I tried lard-based cornbread, I was skeptical. Modern cooking has conditioned us to fear animal fats. But that first bite was a revelation. Lighter, more flavorful, with a perfect crumb structure that held together without being dense. Lard connects us to our ancestors. One Amish grandmother told me while skimming rendered fat into crocks. When resources were scarce, nothing went to waste. The pig provided meat for winter and fat for cooking. It's respectful to use every part the animal gave. The perfect consistency. Amish cornbread batter has a distinctive consistency that's neither too thick nor too runny. It should slowly ribbon off the spoon, not plop in heavy clumps or run like water. Getting this just right is where experience comes in. Weather affects the mix significantly. On humid summer days, the cornmeal might need less liquid. During dry winter months, a splash more buttermilk keeps things moist. The Amish baker adjusts by feel, not by strict measurements. I once watched an elderly Amish woman test her batter by lifting the wooden spoon and letting the mixture fall back into the bowl. "Listen," she instructed me. I heard nothing special, just batter hitting batter. But she nodded, satisfied. That's the sound it should make. When I tried later at home, following exact measurements, my batter was too thick. I added liquid slowly, testing the sound after each addition. Suddenly, I heard what she meant, a specific pitch when the batter hit the bowl. My cornbread turned out perfect that day, teaching me that some cooking knowledge transcends written recipes. The hot skillet secret: before the batter ever touches the pan, the cast iron skillet must be thoroughly and properly heated. This step is absolutely non-negotiable in Amish kitchens, passed down as a cornerstone of successful baking. The sharp, satisfying sizzle when the batter hits the hot fat isn't just a sound, it's confirmation. It signals that the crust is already forming, locking in flavor, and creating that perfect golden underside that holds the whole slice together. Most Amish homes still rely on traditional wood-burning stoves, which adds a layer of complexity and skill to the process. These stoves lack modern temperature dials, so heat is measured through intuition, practice, and subtle cues. A baker might toss a pinch of cornmeal into the skillet. If it dances lightly and browns without burning, the pan is ready. It's an art form disguised as a simple test. The pour must be fast and confident, followed by an immediate smoothing of the batter surface using the back of a wooden spoon. Any delay or hesitation leads to uneven baking. I've seen Amish children gather around, their eyes wide, silently watching that transformation. The first minute determines the next 20, one Amish baker told me. Rush the beginning, regret the end. Oven, wisdom. Baking cornbread in a wood-fired oven requires instinct developed over years. Without temperature controls, Amish bakers rely on visual and tactile cues. They might hold a hand near the oven door, counting seconds they can endure the heat to gauge temperature. Others check the color of the fire or even listen to the sound of the flames. The placement within the oven matters too. In a traditional wood-fired setup, heat distribution isn't even. One side is always hotter where the fire burns strongest. Skilled bakers know exactly where to position their skillets and when to rotate them for even browning. I once attempted cornbread in a friend's wood stove and misjudged the heat entirely. While modern ovens maintain consistent temperatures, wood heat fluctuates. My cornbread emerged with a burnt bottom and undercooked centering, a humbling lesson in the skill traditional methods demand. Amish families coordinate baking days around their heating needs. Why waste good oven heat? After morning bread baking, the declining temperature might be perfect for slower cooking dishes. This natural rhythm shapes their days and meals, a dance with heat and timing that's become second nature through generations of practice. The waiting game. When the cornbread emerges golden and fragrant from the oven, that's when the real test of patience begins. The rich, buttery aroma wafts through the kitchen like a silent invitation, tugging at your senses and making it nearly impossible not to cut a slice right then and there. But seasoned Amish bakers have learned over generations not to rush this delicate moment. Hot cornbread is for amateurs. An Amish grandmother once told me with a warm smile, her hands still dusted with flour and her apron slightly smudged. Patience makes perfect cornbread. That simple advice holds more weight than it seems. Letting cornbread cool isn't just an old-fashioned ritual, it's essential. As it rests, steam escapes slowly and evenly, allowing the interior to firm up. Slice it too soon, and all that steam escapes too quickly, turning the crumbs soggy and unstable. The texture suffers, the slice crumbles, and the flavor doesn't quite settle the way it should. Most Amish families wait at least 15 to 20 minutes, just enough time to finish up the remaining dishes, pour fresh milk, and gather everyone to the table. The skillet rests quietly, still radiating warmth, promising that the reward is coming. And when it finally arrives, it's always worth the wait. Serving traditions, In Amish homes, cornbread is rarely served alone. It's considered a hearty companion rather than a standalone dish. It typically accompanies bowls of steaming soups and stews, slow-cooked beans simmered with smoky ham hocks, or a medley of fresh garden vegetables harvested that very morning. This isn't like the breadbasket in modern restaurants, where cornbread might appear as a starter. In a traditional Amish meal, it arrives at the table alongside the main course, often serving a practical role, soaking up the flavorful broths, juices, and gravies that collect at the bottom of a bowl or plate. The cutting of cornbread follows its own quiet ritual. Many families serve it straight from the cast iron skillet, which rests on a thick wooden board set at the center of the table. The head of household typically cuts the first piece, running a knife carefully around the crispy edge to loosen the golden crust, then slicing it into generous wedges, much like a pie. Some Amish families favor specific accompaniments: thick sorghum molasses, smooth apple butter, or pats of fresh butter still bearing the marks of the churn. In the warmer months, honey from their own beehives might be drizzled over warm slices. I've seen Amish children crumble cornbread into glasses of cold buttermilk, eating it with a spoon, a simple tradition passed down through generations. Beyond supper, cornbread's other roles. Cornbread in Amish culture extends beyond the dinner table. Leftover cornbread becomes breakfast, crumbled into milk or used in cornbread mush, a hot cereal similar to polenta but distinctly Amish in preparation. During autumn harvests, special celebration cornbreads appear, some studded with fresh corn kernels, others sweetened slightly for special occasions. At barn raisings and community gatherings, enormous skillets of cornbread feed dozens of hungry workers. In some Amish districts, a variation called cracklin bread incorporates small pieces of crispy rendered pork skin, creating pockets of savory flavor throughout. This hearty version often accompanies bean dinners during cold months. I've even seen cornbread repurposed into stuffing for roast chicken or turkey, mixed with celery, onions, and herbs from the garden. Nothing goes to waste in Amish kitchens. Stale cornbread becomes breadcrumbs for coating chicken or thickening soups. This resourcefulness isn't trendy upcycling, but a tradition of stewardship that stretches back generations, passing down the tradition. Perhaps most important in Amish cornbread making is how the knowledge transfers between generations. Young girls often learn by watching mothers and grandmothers, gradually taking on more responsibility until one day they're trusted to make it alone. These lessons happen without formal instruction, a gentle hand guiding how to hold the spoon, a quiet correction when the batter isn't mixed enough. The recipe exists not on paper but in shared moments and muscle memory. When an Amish woman can make perfect cornbread without measuring or consulting notes, she carries her family's culinary heritage forward. Each skillet represents not just dinner but connection to those who cooked before her. I asked a young Amish mother how she learned to make cornbread. "I don't remember learning," she said simply. "It feels like I've always known, like breathing or praying. Some things become part of who you are." In a world obsessed with speed, convenience, and taking shortcuts, Amish cornbread remains a quiet but powerful symbol of something deeper, the enduring value of doing things the traditional way. This isn't just a recipe passed down through generations, it's a ritual, an experience, and a story told in each golden cast iron skillet. Every bite reflects a connection to something greater than ourselves, to the land that grew the corn, to the hands that milled it, and to the community that gathers to share it. More than just food, it becomes a reminder of how simplicity can be sacred. It speaks to the richness of heritage, the warmth of shared labor, and the quiet satisfaction of honoring what came before us. Traditions like these don't survive out of mere habit, they endure because they nourish more than the body. They feed the spirit in ways that no modern shortcut ever truly can.